Hello and all, welcome to another episode of MMA Vision Analysis. This one we're talking Kelvin Gastelum, his thoughts on the fighter that could give middleweight champion Khamzat Chimaev a tough time. Matter of fact, he goes as far as saying that he thinks that this is the guy that will beat, obviously, Khamzat Chimaev. He gives two reasons why. Before getting started, make sure to like, subscribe, click that notification to get all this that's new from this channel, your channel, one and only MMA Vision Analysis. Kelvin Gastelum explains that Rainier, the Ritter, is the fighter that has the highest chance of beating Khamzat Chimaev. Gives two reasons why. One is style. Second is size, right? Style and size. Well, there was one takeaway from, obviously, Rainier de Ritter's last fight against, a couple takeaways, really. One of the takeaways is a bit of MMA math, right? But check this out, right? Rainier de Ritter obviously recently defeated Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker in that fight when the full... it was a main event. I want to say it was a 5-round fight, right? Knocked the guy down. Robert Whittaker knocked Rainier de Ritter down. I want to say it was the second or third round. He had the dude, pretty much out. And if Robert Whittaker had more energy, he could have finished the Ritter. Obviously, as that fight went to the latter minutes, Rainier de Ritter was able to establish dominance due to fatigue from, obviously, Robert Whittaker's side, which ultimately, saw the fight the momentum shift towards Rainier de Ritter in a drastic way, obviously. A couple of things, right? Chimaev finished Whittaker in less than a round, right? Whittaker went the entirety of the fight against Rainier de Ritter. Matter of fact, he almost finished the Ritter, right? Whittaker did not look as fresh as he usually looks against Rainier de Ritter, which ultimately helped the Ritter, win that fight. When it comes to Chimaev, you have to understand that he's not a slow starter. Matter of fact, it's the complete opposite. While if we pay attention to Rainier de Ritter's style, we're going to notice that his style is probably more towards a slow starting style. As the fight graduates, he tries to establish dominance at least, right? That's not the sort of game plan that Chimaev enters fights with, right? He is relentless from the first to the last second. I think that's clearly evident for Khamzat Chimaev. Just look at the last handful of fights. So he will not be playing Rainier de Ritter's game. I believe. One other thing that was clearly evident from the Robert Whittaker, obviously, Rainier de Ritter fight is the fact that there was a lack of wrestling in general, at least from Robert Whittaker's side. And in all honesty, from the vantage point of my TV set, you can see that the single leg is there for the taking when it comes to the Ritter. So can Chimaev actually take the guy down? I believe easily, because the legs are there and the guy's a slow starter, right? And you throw a knee against Chimaev, he's catching that knee and you're taking flight. That's just a fact. People look at the Robert Whittaker fight and they think that that's somehow a good indicator of where Rainier de Ritter is, on the scale. But that's just, with all respect to a former middleweight champion, Robert Whittaker, but that's not how things are measured. Obviously, Whittaker and Chimaev have two different styles of fighting. One of them is a striker, the other one is a wrestler, and I don't know how we can draw conclusions, based off that fight, the fight that saw little wrestling from Robert Whittaker's side, and we saw a super slow start for Rainier the Ritter. So we're talking about Chimaev, that's the best wrestler in that middleweight division. Number one, probably one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, if not the best wrestler in the UFC. It's between him and Makhachev. And obviously, Chimaev is relentless from the first to the last second. So it's not going to be a slow start for Chimaev if he was to fight Rainier the Ritter. With all respect to Kelvin Gastelum, but even though he thinks that, the guy, and we are talking about Rainier the Ritter here, has the highest chance of defeating Chimaev, I still believe he's very far away from actually dominating a fight against Chimaev. And a matter of fact, I think there are a couple of reasons why Chimaev might have the upper hand. The fact that Rainier the Ritter is a slow starter, and the fact that the single legs are there for the taking. If you made it this far, I appreciate you for sticking around. Please let me know 2 things in the comments, like, subscribe for more.